My name is Gabe. Welcome to Requested Features, the show where I talk about some features that could have improved some games. Today we're talking about Persona 5 Strikers, the action sequel to the turn-based JRPG Persona 5/Persona 5 Royal. Replacing the turn-based mechanics of Persona 5 with a variation of the Musou-style mechanics found in games like Dynasty Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, and other games with warriors in the title. As far as my own personal opinion goes, it does a nice enough job of melding the two seemingly incompatible gameplay styles. Now, as far as this show is concerned, I have one major rule. I will under no circumstance be talking about the story or spoiling it in this video. We're looking solely on gameplay and gameplay-related things. I will be splitting this video up into 4 distinct sections. The timestamps for which you can see here and in the description below. Exploration, navigating through both the real world and the metaverse. Progression, leveling up and how you go through the game, that sort of thing. Combat, fighting. It's pretty self-explanatory. And Misc for all things that couldn't fit into either of those 3 categories. Starting with exploration. The main focus of this game is that the Phantom Thieves, your party, are traveling across Japan, seeing various cities throughout the game. And I feel it's wasted. Now, when I think back to Persona 5 proper, there were a lot of things you could do in between palaces. That game's dungeons. You could replay video games, go fishing, watch a movie, hang out with your friends, and go to the batting cages, as just an example of the stuff you could do. In this game, well, here's what you do. First, you walk around town so that you can be exposited upon about the villain of the week. Then, you go to the stores to buy healing items that honestly suck compared to what you can buy back at your RV. Second, you buy recipes, which admittedly are quite good, and go to the grocery store to buy the ingredients for them. And that's it. You do nothing with the main town. You go back to the RV and go back to the jail. That's it. That's the end of it. As you can see, we could stand to do more. See, as the game basically is, everything we want can be bought at the shop at the RV, ultimately making it pointless to ever use any other shop. However, I believe we could put more significance on the shops around the area, various spots that you visit, by doing 2 things. We could put more focus by either A, outright removing the RV shop, or at the very least, doing this. Make it so that items in that shop are more expensive and only available after the current town. And make it so that weapons and other such stuff that you unlock this chapter can be found in the local stores. This way, I'm more excited to go and explore those stores. And it gives me more motivation to do stuff. While we're at it, let's add free time slots. Maybe just like 1 or 2 per area, not a lot. And have there be benefits to going to various areas for free time. Now, I am not suggesting adding the actual time limits from the main game, as it really wouldn't work with the way this game is set up. At all. What I am instead suggesting is having specific sections of free time that you can use however you want within the options the game gives you. Basically between palaces, maybe, or between jails, maybe certain story events happen, maybe it's nighttime, I don't know. You can do whatever you want. For the record, the infrastructure for this is already present in the game, as twice in the game, not shown here as for the no spoilers policy, you're given the option to choose who you want to do certain events with. I think just expand it so it happens more often and give it a lot more options. It also doubles as a chance to show off various tourist attractions in each town you visit. Now for the jails themselves, this game's dungeons. The jails are kind of hollow, as almost every jail in the game, barring a few exceptions, consists simply of the game telling you exactly where to go and how to get there, making progressing through them kind of unfulfilling. I think the solution to this is really simple. Remove the objective marker. The jails aren't that confusingly laid out, and that way when party members tell you you need to find X to progress, you actually have to find X, instead of knowing exactly where it is. I think it would make progressing through the jails just a bit more interesting. It's also worth noting that the various jails aren't very aesthetically pleasing. Ultimately, just being the town you're in with slight changes. For an example, one jail is just a city but it's snowing. Another jail is city but the buildings look slightly fantasy, and I do mean slightly. And one jail is just city but has balloons. I believe the jails should better reflect the monarch, the person who those jails belong to. Just a little better. There are actually a few jails in the game that actually do this, and they are the best jails in the game. If you would ask me to navigate those off memory without a map, I could 100% do so hands down. The other jails, on the other hand, no, I could not. Now, another subject worth noting is leaving jails, and the fact that it's kind of pointless. Okay, so back in Persona 5, when you left the jail, it meant something. It meant you were giving up your chance to explore that jail for that day, and were taking a tick off your time limits. As a reminder, Strikers does not, nor should it, have a time limit. Meaning, all you do when you leave a jail is fully heal yourself, get a chance to buy some things, and respawn the enemies. Oh, and go through a ridiculously long loading animation. And since there's no ramifications for leaving, all leaving really does of note and of value is make the player have to sit through a loading screen there and a loading screen back. This wouldn't be a problem except if you need to respawn enemies for the requests in the game, for example. Which, yes, there are occasions where you have to do that. You have to sit through 2 loading screens and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you want to heal, if you want to cook, if you want to buy food, you have to leave and go through 2 annoying load screens for no real good reason. The solution to this problem is quite simple. Dark Souls. So in the game you already have checkpoints that you can use to warp between them, allowing you to navigate the jail a little faster. Just have them work more similarly to the bonfires in Dark Souls. I can use them to heal and respawn all the enemies. Maybe I can even use them to access the shops, or at least the RV shop, and do various other things at them. That way I don't have to sit through an annoying load screen every time I need to heal, buy stuff, or respawn. If that feels a little easier, then you can reduce the number of checkpoints, or even make some checkpoints kind of special. Alright, time to talk about progression. This one kind of ties back into exploration and a point we've already talked about, adding more free time events. But the way progression works in this game is you have a single friendship bar. This is how you unlock skills and perks. And the bar goes up by doing combat and a few side activities that the game offers you. But for the most part, it's filled by story-triggered events. And honestly, that's boring. It doesn't help that the skills are kind of, well, safe, boring skills that are just not fun. I'd say for a select few that are actually useful. Whilst not scrapping this mechanic entirely, maybe dividing the skills up to some being accessed this way, and others being accessible by triggering certain events. Those free time events mentioned in the previous segment. And having the ones you miss be available at the shop for a high price. As an example, if you choose to go to the beach, you can acquire a certain skill related to going to the beach. However, if you choose not to, then you can buy it for what might be an unfair but possible to grind for price. When it comes to personas, despite the game allowing you to buy personas you don't have immediately for fusion, and the ability to buy levels for them, it will not do both automatically when you need to fuse a persona, meaning you spend a bit more time in a menu than you really need to. Easily fixed by just having it be automatic. Now it's time to talk about combat. For the most part, combat in this game feels pretty good. That being said, the fact that everything is mapped to one button, the circle on the PS4, what that means is that you often want to do something but end up doing another thing instead. Frequent example is the all-out attack and the Phantom Dash mechanics. Phantom Dashes being environmental attacks. So you just knock down a bunch of enemies. Alright, time to do an all-out attack. But oh no, there's a lamppost right over there. You better go jump on it. Happens frequently enough to be a little annoying. I would allow what you're selecting to be just the more clearer. It is worth noting that this problem does not exist on PC, on account of you being able to bind both to separate keys. This is a console-exclusive problem. Status effects are basically useless, both to inflict and to have inflicted on you. See, in Persona 5, a status effect meant that you had to spend a turn either fixing it or wait for it to wear off. Either way, that was a decision you had to make in the game. In the real-time combat of strikers, well, all you do is shake the stick a little. And in all honesty, even though this game's combat is quite more difficult than most Musou games, the enemies that can actually be affected by status effects are still killed way too quickly for it to ever actually matter that you inflicted them. But how would I fix status effects? The solution is simple, even though it would no longer be accurate to Persona 5. Change what status effects do. Remove the status effects that outright impede movement, as there's no good way to translate that to a Musou-style gameplay, and have them just lock skills and reduce stats. It's not flashy, but it's effective and it would get the job done. At the very least, that way they'd matter. Alright, it's time for some miscellaneous points. The only thing worth putting in Misc are the requests. I'm gonna be blunt. Save for a few exceptions, they suck and they really don't have to. All of the requests are basically standard MMO quests. Collect X of this, kill Y of that, wash, rinse, repeat. And of course the main thing is, save for a few exceptions, they don't really have much of a story to them. And those exceptions are really memorable moments. But I can only count them on one hand. It'd be cool if the requests function a little like how they did in Persona 5. That is to say, they have kind of their own little story to them. Albeit most likely inconsequential. Even if that means there'd be less requests, I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather there be no requests than the ones we got. That's going to do it for this time. Before I send you off with my usual spiel, you may have noticed from time to time that Reddit usernames have appeared at the bottom of the screen. That's because before finalizing this video, I had posted asking for any input on this game's Reddit thread. And the sections with names at the bottom of the screen were stuff I wouldn't have added to this video if I did not see it on Reddit. So I'm providing full credit in that way. If you'd like to see the thread and the subreddit it's attached to, I will put the link in the description of this video. Beware that there will probably be there are a few minor spoilers in the thread, and there will probably be some major ones on that subreddit. Fair warning and all that. If you played the game, you may have some requests of your own. Please leave them in the comments below, though be aware that I will remove any spoilers I see. And of course, if you liked this video, leave it a like. If you want to see more like it, do subscribe. Also check out the pilot of this, which I released a year or so back. I want to say that my team and I do have plans for this channel, which are more than just the occasional video upload and stream upload. It's just that a certain event has gotten in the way of those plans. Despite that, we intend to get fully up and running soon, especially since that certain event has started to calm down. And I highly recommend checking out our other pilots. Almost all of them we intend to bring back in some form or another, with a bit more effort put in. Sorry for the tangent. Anyways, more importantly than any of that, have a good night.